Clash of Clans podcast, special episode number 22. Hey guys, this is Scotty from Clash of Clans podcast, bringing you the second half of my interview with Boaz, talking about all things Clash. We're just going to start right where we left off last episode, so enjoy.
So I want to shout out to the True Sons here. Oh, and yeah, so this, I just made me think of it when we were talking about the stars and, you know, on which bases and stuff. So our last war, we got 2 stars on the top 8 bases, and we 2-starred 13 of the top 14 bases.
Nice.
Which basically that's like a perfect war, because you're not going to be 3-starring anyone up there. So Spur Shot with 2 stars on the first 2 guys. We had James on 2-starring number 3, Kevin 2-starring number 4 and number 7, Go Heat 2-starring number 5, and then a new guy that we got, Pahodi, and I think he makes a big difference. He 2-starred 6 and 8. So we had 3 guys, or I guess 4 guys, James, Spur Shot, Go Heat, and Kevin, that would be able to hang stars on like the top bases and stuff. But now we got another guy in here, Pahodi, who I guess he joined a while ago, but we were pushing and he was finishing a push, so he just added some of us on Game Center and then came back later. Having this like 5th guy who can, you know, attack completely maxed bases seems like it's made a big difference. Like he's now our number 1 person, but the attacking, you know, skill that he brings, because they don't generally get stars on our top people unless they're really, really, really good, unless they're like a, you know, a really unfair matchup. And so this is just something that I hadn't seen before, where we got so many 2 stars on the top bases, and that's like, you know, that's like 3-starring the bottom, you know, 20 bases or whatever. And so there was a war a few wars ago where I was looking at it, and the war was almost over, and it was a close war. It was a really good clan that we were going against. Nobody had 3-starred anybody in either clan. Wow. Because everyone had made their bases so well designed. Like they all had really well designed, well thought out bases. So at the very end, I think we 3-starred their bottom 2 guys. You know, people used cleanup attacks, like really high level people went down because there was nowhere else to get stars. And so I was saying to the clan afterwards, like, big props to everybody for your base designs, because they didn't get any 3 stars on us. And excuse me. And yeah, it was just such an interesting thing to see that when you have your bases, you know, designed that well and you're that closely matched up, you know, like the difference from the top guy to the bottom guy wasn't that big a difference. The fact that you could have like such a well executed war and nobody's doing any 3-starring, you know, shows you that instead of using hogs, people are using dragons and go wipe and you know, golem attacks. And generally golem attacks are not going to be fast enough to 3-star, although we have had a few people 3-starring with go wipe recently in like the last second, which has been pretty badass.
Yeah. But that's why I'm getting my golems going now, or my P.E.K.K.A.s going.
Yeah, my go wipe's finally kind of
because it'd be awesome with the alien. I think the alien would be really good.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the strategy for a go wipe, is to get to the middle and then explode outwards. But generally, you get to the middle, you've got 50%, and then you're not going to get 100%, you know, almost no matter how well you explode outwards.
Right.
Except, you know, sometimes. But the difference between yours, I thought, and like a lot of golem attacks is people kind of spread it out a little more, whereas yours was like a straight shot, jumping everyone into the middle, kind of, you know, like not really spending too much time, you know, around the edges and stuff. Just suddenly your entire army was right in the middle, which was really interesting.
And I can't see a goddamn thing that's going on. while it's happening.
Because of all that. That's what's so hard, like with all of the spells and explosions and things going on in the center, like to figure out when to use your hero abilities and, to keep track of everything like that can be really, really tricky. So I just had one right before we recorded where I nailed it, which felt really good. But the last few wars I have been it has not been going well, because generally the P.E.K.K.A.s, because you need to clear out the sides really well to get the P.E.K.K.A.s to go to the middle. And so my P.E.K.K.A.s they were taking the Sunday stroll. They were not wanting to get to the center there. But yeah, I used to be really down on the jump spell. I used to be like, why would you waste a spell slot when you could just have, a couple
Bombers.
Wall breakers?
But these are pretty much the new spells, or the jump spell it guarantees you that you're going to be able to put the hole in the wall where you want to put the hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. Because, it's so hard with those bombers. And I just been doing a couple attacks. You send them in and they get caught by X-bows, or you get the bad timing. And so if you can get the things in, and here's also a thing, those things wear off. So, part of it is if you put the things in a compartment where they're going to get trapped, they have to go somewhere. So it might actually, help.
That it wears off, because then they won't go back the way they came.
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. We had a guy in a couple wars ago, Habakkuk. They had three walls that were each spaced with one square in between them. So it was 5 squares with 3 walls. And so he placed one jump spell, and all his troops jumped over all 3 walls with one jump spell, because he placed it right in the middle. And so the radius was such that he didn't need any wall breakers. Everybody went and jumped bloop, 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 over each one. And yeah, it was really, I guarantee that guy redesigned his base after watching the replay, because it was pretty embarrassing. That was one of the few people that 3-starred with a go wipe, because it was just so easy for him to get to the middle.
And I think that since the last update, we're seeing a lot of that in terms of, really think about it with the hero changes, the hog changes, the jump spell, and a new level P.E.K.K.A., whatever. Attacks are changing, and I guess I don't really remember an update where I've felt so lost after it.
Yeah, there was a lot of, the hero thing was huge, and everything else kind of gets lost in the shuffle, after what a huge change that was. But yeah, there was a lot of things, and a lot of things that affect the latest. I think lately the most common attack seems to be go wipe. It's kind of transitioned from, at least in high level clans and stuff, transitioned from hogs to golem attacks, and particularly go wipe, and particularly now that the P.E.K.K.A.s have gotten an extra level. The witches haven't got, they're still max level 2, and so that the P.E.K.K.A's max level 5 is definitely. And so the other thing is Teslas are so much more important now than they were.
And I finally got one of my black balloons, Seeking Air Mines, maxed. I realized that they weren't. I think when we were talking, or I was talking with Boneyard. And so I got them up to 2, and one's already on its way to max. But those are things that I've forgotten about. And those are some of the things that, got introduced later on, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't have, I don't know if they had any traps really at maybe they had the little bombs and spring traps or something.
So, yeah, and I pity the fools who are listening to this podcast, who are just catching up now and have been trying all these attacks, because post-update, I was thinking about it, lure out the king and the queen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody just listened to that and is trying. I don't get what they mean about luring. It's
What are these guys? Well, you guys do always give the disclaimer, definitely go back and listen to the old ones, but don't take our
I think we just started I think we just started doing that, in the last couple months because of the radical changes, that have happened. And so, with the True Sons, where do you guys' war cycles? How do you war? We
end one war and immediately begin the next war.
So you're constantly warring.
Yeah, we are constantly warring, and there's usually a little bit of a break between the wars because, like, people will, if someone's on vacation, we want to make sure to kick them out, and then invite them right back in after the war surge starts, or maybe someone that we've been, warning, stop doing this, stop whatever, or fix this about your base, and then they don't listen and they keep screwing up their war attacks. We'll, get rid of people who are, really not trying, or, anyone who's not using their attacks on a regular basis and stuff. And so we'll get rid of people. We'll have people that are, gone, and then we'll let them know we're about to start a new one, and then they'll come back, if they're on vacation, this guy on his honeymoon right now. And so we make sure to kick him out each time when we start a war. But for the most part, it's like we started immediately after finishing the previous one. And it's we have it down now into like a real solid rhythm. People can farm on the prep day, or use an attack, then can farm for a while and then use their other attack. So we are having less farming time than if we were just farming and not warring at all. But we have a pretty good rhythm of, people getting farming in. But then the people that are less active, then like the few times they get to come on, people who maybe used to be real active and now are kind of busier, the few times they get to come on, they're not doing farming, they're doing war attacks, But I mean, getting on for, 20 minutes and farming isn't going to get you that many resources anyway. If you're going in with a war attack and you get at least a star, you're going to get, 300,000, 400,000, 450,000 of each. And so, I mean, that's a solid couple farming raids there anyway. So, and it's just fun. Like, it's fun watching our Krieger Vonnet. Sorry, I'm in Norse. I'm guessing that means wars won. The stat go up. So right now we're at 35 wars won. Usually we win anything that's not like a huge mismatch. And then a lot of the ones that are mismatches, we do end up pulling off. There was one clan, shout out to Hyper Clash, who they were pretty evenly matched with us in terms of town hall levels and stuff. They had 42 wins, and when we were fighting them, we must have had like high 20s, and they were amazing. They creamed it. Looks like 46-74, and like, all the other ones on our record are wins, and they destroyed us. But yeah, then we had a few that were just, won by a couple, lost by a couple, and those are always the most fun when it comes down to the end and like everyone's on, at the closing moments, everyone's watching each other's attacks, cheering each other on, giving each other advice, stuff like that. And it kind of reminded me of in L when we did the live streaming. I don't know if you guys have talked about that.
No, we haven't.
All. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, you go for it.
Well, at the beginning of this last war, or maybe the war before that, yeah, in House of L, Scotty got it set up so that we could do live streaming. So it was not a podcast that was recording, but people could go on the website and tune in, and they could hear us. And so during the first like maybe hour and a half or so of the war, lots of people were attacking, getting their attacks in, I think, particularly because there was, we were talking about it and stuff. And so really it was the only audience was the people in our clan. So instead of going out
it was cool though to be able to do, It would be awesome if we had people in there ready to go. We could sit and live stream and.
I mean, maybe it could be one of the wars, either the Sunday war will always be live streamed, by you and Boneyard or, some of us or whatever, would be a pretty cool way to do it. Then people can know, but the only issue then, instead of, going out to all these people, it's only those few people that get to listen to it. So, but I guess that's another thing. Now that Elle and Zod are full, I mean, if you're a fan of the podcast, definitely feel free to come over to the True Sons. I guess a lot of people have had an issue not being able to find it, and the reason is they just type True Sons instead of the True Sons.
Oh, it's the True Sons.
Yeah, it's the True Sons. And when you just type in True Sons, we don't come up at all. With the search thing is kind of weird, like the way that certain things come up, something you'd think would be closer, but it gets taken out of the search list for whatever reason. So you have to put the True Sons, 3 words. So a lot of people have said that they couldn't find it because of that. But yeah, I guess it's a little different than Zod and Elle because it's not really a fan clan per se. We definitely love Fans in the Stands. Our most of our best new members happen to be podcast fans, and I think that it kind of it's people coming from global, like we're just another clan, like they're like, oh, check you out, you're just another one of these millions of clans out there. But the people who have listened to the podcast, they know about they know the type of clan we are, if they've heard previous ones back in the day, they'll know about our style of clan management and sense of humor and stuff like that. And if they've listened recently, they know about our war cycle and stuff like that. So they know what they're getting into, and they and so. And
what are you looking for in a?
Requirements. Right now it's generally like level 100 or higher. Mostly skull walls, so the level 8 walls, and non-rushed base. So if your defenses match up with your town hall level and stuff, and good war stats. So that's the thing that we've been really looking at lately. Maybe if someone has an amazing base and stuff, then we might, if they have less war stars and they have a reason, like, oh yeah, I came from this clan that, I was loyal to them. I didn't want to leave and they didn't war very often. So that's why I don't have many war stars, but if someone has a bunch of war stars, then that's definitely going to get our attention, I guess, in addition, the war loot. So just those, those 2 war.
Oh, I suppose the war loot's going to tell you the type of person you went up against.
Exactly. Yeah. So they, if someone has low stars but high loot, that they've been probably 1 and 2 starring, really high level bases. And if someone has a bunch of stars but low loot, then they've been attacking lower bases and 3 starring them. Or one thing I realized
somebody might not be collecting their war loot.
that could be too. But my Jungle Insider account, I have a bunch of war stars and very little war loot, but it's because I'm a Town Hall 8. So, generally the bases that I'm getting are between 200,000 and 300,000 instead of more like 400,000. So, I mean, if you're a low level person, then you're going to have lower.
I was just looking at that with Exace, and it wouldn't look like I was doing. I have half the stars of my main account. But the loot's, it's a lot lower.
And I'm proud of my Boaz account here. I have, I got the second star for the war loot a while ago.
You did, huh?
Yeah, I have just under, what would that be? Just under 20 million war loot, but I'm about to get my second star in the war star. I have 148 out of 150, so I'm looking forward to getting that second star. And then it'll be a really long time till I get my third star in either of those categories. I'm sure it's going to be
well, yeah. It starts to make me
haul.
wonder, about if you can do a constant war cycle. And maybe it's the fact that your guys' clan have been together for a long time. Mm-hmm. You have that rhythm going.
Yeah, and it took a little
change a little bit, I think, in El and Zod, and I know Boneyard and I are going to talk about that tomorrow when we record, just about what because we want to be able to keep pushing the button at the same time to hope for another matchup.
Huge. Yeah, that's awesome,
and because it was really unbelievable, but yeah, that's. Okay, so
definitely, like I like that in in El and Zod and stuff. There's a little break for farming, but a part of the reason the True Sons why we don't like breaks is because we have such a good Wars 1 record, and now it's not like up with the top people like it was at first when we didn't take a break to push and stuff like that. But it's still pretty good. It's 35 wins, and so we want to keep pushing that upward, and anytime you take a break from war, then you are going to kind of fall behind. And we had some people, especially at first, that didn't really want a war all the time, and so they kind of ended up leaving or getting booted if they weren't using their attacks. And then slowly we've brought in people who do want a war all the time. So our nucleus is still the same, but then the extra members that we have are now all people that love to war, as opposed to people that were, can we take a break, and can we, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure, but we just don't want to do that. So that's something, if someone wants to come over to the clan, you would have to want a war all the time.
Yeah.
So
well, quite honestly, I'm a little torn because I love the war and I love the activity of it. I've thought about just different ways, and you were talking about this earlier about co-leaders and clan mail. And, and you want to kind of
that's so something that you and Boneyard were talking about was the cooldown of the clan mail, and so we never really have that issue because we have 10 leaders that all pass around the leader role, and then about 4 co-leaders, and so everyone has the co-leader tag, and then maybe 12 or 15 elders, and now it takes a long time to get eldership in the clan, a lot of activity and a lot of loyalty and time with the clan and stuff, and but like you guys were saying before, if someone's been in there long enough, because we used to be like, you don't want to have too many elders and stuff. But if someone's earned it, they've earned it, So we've noticed that those numbers are really creeping up and up there. And we've been co-leadering more people and stuff, people that they have to have been here a super long time really to be co-leader. But yeah, so the thing is, we never really have issue with clan mail because we have like 15 people that can send clan mail and can change the clan description and stuff like that. And something else we do, like if we need to send a clan mail and, the co-leader, the leader, whoever's on, they have a cooldown and there's no one, no other leaders or co-leaders on, then they can, quick give an elder co-leader, and then so they can send the clan mail, know, if it's something like, it's the end of a war, we really need to say something or, tell people something at the beginning of, or whatever reason, we'll give them the co-leader role. They'll send the clan mail, and then we'll, put them back down to elder. And they really encourage having people that are elders and co-leaders and stuff, because there's different things you can do as an elder. Like, for instance, elders, the big thing is being able to invite people. And so sometimes a member will say, oh man, I have this big fish in my global. They're interested in coming. Can you elder me real quick so I can invite them? And so we'll give them elder. They'll invite them, then they'll be like, okay, I sent the invite. Then we'll put them back down to member. And so that's another
So how
thing
was
you
elder
can do.
earned?
So Elder is earned. There's not really a specific. Some clans are like, oh, X amount of donations, or generally you have to be with the clan. Either like a couple months with a really high level of activity, or long. Several months. Maybe not super active, but consistent and loyal to the clan and things like that. So there's kind of different, some people kind of get fast tracked if they're, do a lot of chatting, a lot of donating, a lot of just being active and contributing. One of the requisites actually is to be on GroupMe, because that's what we use for all of our, clan communication. So it's kind of like, if you're not willing to download GroupMe and, get in our groups and stuff, then you're not going to get Elder, because you're not going to be participating in the Elder discussions and stuff anyway. So that's another, but we have lots of members that are in the GroupMe groups, and we have like a member group, a Elder group, co-leader group. There's also a leader group, which we don't really use now that we have a co-leader group. And so they all do different subjects get discussed in each group. And it's a cool way to do it. And I think they really encourage you to give, to promote people, because there's different perks that come with promoting.
Right.
The more people that can invite good players, the better. The more people that can send clan mails and do things like that, the better, as long as they're people that you trust to not.
And we've been running in well, you're a co-leader in L, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
And Matt, and then Elder has been, if you participate in the war and you've participated, you get Elder. If you don't participate, you get demoted, and if you don't participate, then you're kicked out. So it's a way to kind of benchmark.
Yeah, I like that. A way to keep track of who's, but the only issue with that is, since there's only 3 tiers, there's not like a carrot for being there a long time. But on the other hand, it is a fan clan, so it's not quite the same as like Minnesota Nice, or at least right now, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, is we're such a new clan, that I think that stuff will change as we keep going, because we've got people who have been there, and it was a fan clan to start off with, and people are welcome to stop by and everything, but I think a lot of people are really putting in time and wanting it to be right.
There's some serious players and some really skilled players too that are that want to that take it seriously and take war seriously and stuff. And so I have a feeling it's going to morph into more of a, serious kind of war clan and stuff
and maybe this week we'll take off these couple days or I'll find out people want to be warring constantly, and then we'll have to go from there, and I'll talk with Boneyard. But I know I asked, in the chat, and people were kind of for that, so that they could do some farming.
Yeah, I guess because I have 2 accounts too, so I like not being constantly warring in both of them. But I'd be up for either way, because warring is super fun.
Yeah, I really love it, and maybe we just need a little bit more of that, hitting that stride to be like, hey, okay, now it's just, because that's how it was in Minnesota Nice, where we could do it, but it did take away from farming. Mm-hmm. But just having that rhythm, which is, I think, really important.
And I think at first it was a big shock that it cut into your farming, because you were used to being able to farm all the time. But now that people are, kind of used to warring and in the habit of warring, it's not, they're used to their farming time being cut down. So it's not such a huge imposition as it felt like before. And
you can do it where you're like, if everybody was working with their armies and could donate, with somebody who's using Max Wizards, so they could send those in, and people were differentiated, and that happened with Minnesota Nice. Okay, so you're playing the regular game, but the warring is kind of on the flip side. But what's been different, because of the rhythm and because everybody's new and getting to know each other and stuff with L, it's like there's a lot of strategizing going on.
And it's coming from a clan where everyone is Town Hall 9 or Town Hall 10, it's such a different war when there's such a wide range of Town Hall levels. Like it's really interesting.
Yeah, because the strategy of the other people, they might, some of those tough players, they attack low, they get the regular stars, and then their bottom 4 or 5 guys can't attack. So you see the attacks left, and you're like, well, they box those guys in, so we can count those guys out. And then, and in this last war, we were winning, kicking butt, but it was like, they could all attack at the last minute.
Yeah.
And if they all attack at the last minute, has our strategy been good? And there was some attacks where it might not have been the smartest to attack high, where people could have went a little bit lower and cleaned up, and that would really suck to have like a couple people down there that we lose.
That had 1 star on one of their bottom. Because we had a war like that where there was like a couple bottom people that had like 1 star on them. But I thought that was really cool because even at the end of the war, if those low level people in our clan logged on, they could still contribute, which
right.
And we had a ton of
and that's kind of what
stars,
it is.
Which was cool.
It's like, yeah, let's have those people get in. And now with the people that have been involved and they've been participating, then that you can count on them showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a really high level of participation too, which is cool. Like almost everyone using all their attacks and stuff, which is, that's a really big thing. A clan where everyone is engaged. That's half the battle right there, is getting everyone, attacking and paying attention.
And, Musta got booted. I'm sorry, dude. But we were giving him war dragons, and we gave him a lot of war dragons. And
was he using them on farming then?
Well, I don't know. And I think he might have been attacked and whatever. But it was the one thing he did is he booted somebody out, and I didn't realize elders could do that.
Oh, they can.
And
interesting. Because
he thought he was the guy was inactive. He was actually on vacation. And I said, hey, what? So I invited Xylor back to the clan, and I stripped him of his elder, and then it was one of those things. And he was a nice guy, and he'd be good to have in a clan because he does pretty well with attacks and everything. But it was okay.
Well, it's always a big no-no to overstep your bounds, to overstep your authority.
And it's not fair to the other players. And then I was having to boost the thing. Boost my barracks to give him dragons. And I'm just like, okay.
Now this guy's costing me money.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, I am really like, I need to get shit upgraded. And I can't do this. And so it just came. It was the end of the war. There was a couple people that didn't participate, or attacked really low, and maybe they stopped by to say hi and got put into the war. Awesome, and thanks for being there and participating. Yeah. But the bottom line is that we're trying to build a good clan, and that the fans that are there, that want to be part of a clan, aren't getting screwed over, or can be confident that part of
not have it be like a volatile environment where they're looking over their shoulder or whatever.
And so and there was a couple things that got said. Lords had said, all right, I didn't have great attacks, but I had some really good defenses, and I said, this is not about this isn't a clan where we're, if you have a couple bad attacks.
Yeah, this isn't Reddit troopers here.
Right. You get booted.
But on the flip side, you don't want anyone that's going to bring everybody down, that's not holding up their end of the bargain. So.
Right. And, when people are, we're going constant in the war, it makes a difference to people's pocketbooks in the game. If you're giving away 40,000 gold dragon,
Well, that reminds me, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about our acclimatization. Yeah, that word is really hard.
But shout out Musta, I should just say. I mean,
but
nice guy.
Acclimatization to being a war clan was people like when everyone was handing out max witches and max dragons and stuff for their but
acclamation.
Acclamation.
That's what it is.
Thank you. That's why it was so hard. Acclamation.
I was trying to figure out why it was why I couldn't pronounce it in my head. Why can I not
get this out of my mouth?
Yeah.
Our acclamation to a war clan was like people were, getting used to getting max witches and max dragons and stuff. And so there were people that would be requesting them for farming, because they would be like, oh, this is great. And so that was a rule we made where we're like, ask for what you want for your 2 war attacks. Besides that, do not ask for anything that you can't make yourself, which is a good
or
rule
not
of thumb.
Readily giving out.
Yeah. But since then it's kind of like, for war, people ask for a very specific thing, 1 witch, 4 wizards, 2 barbs, or 4 balloons, 10 minions or 5 minion, things like that, very specific. But then for most of the rest of the time, it's kind of like, whatever, barbs and archers or whatever you got handy. And that makes it a lot easier on everyone. You can kind of clear out your camps of the troops that you don't want, that you don't need to donate for war. You can give those to people for their farming castles and stuff. And then, so that makes everything a lot smoother, because it was a huge strain on our high level people when people not only were asking for high level troops in their defensive war castles and their attacking war castles, they're also, throwing in extra requests. And it's like, wait a second, you already did both your attacks, dude. Why are you, requesting a level 2 witch or what,
Well, and I think that's what differentiates players. And I think you're right. It's, we're acclimating to that, and people would, say war, and I always put war capital letters, and now, it's like farming, anything works. And people are really getting into that rhythm.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think, because I know that was Musta's second account too, or, and I'm not exclusively talking about Musta here. He's a nice guy and whatever. But it's about, asking for what you can give and what you're willingly giving,
that's a good point. Even if you can make it, like, don't ask for it if you're never willing to give it to anyone else too. That's a good point.
Yeah, because I'm not going to ask for witches from somebody because of the amount of time and stuff it takes, unless people are handing out witches. And I'm like, if I get a witch in my castle, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to go use this thing right away, because I want people to. If people just gave it to me, I'm like, I better wait till it's actually good.
Yeah, that's because I just dump my troops when I get regular troops, barbs and archers and wizards and stuff. Like, I'll just go in the goblins and dump them and then request, just so people can get higher donations and more experience and stuff. So just even if I'm not using it for farming, if it's been more than 20 minutes, I'll just dump out the troops and then request again. But then if I get like a level 5 P.E.K.K.A. or a level 4 dragon or level 2 witch or something, then it's kind of like, oh, I don't really want to use this on the goblins. I better go do an actual farming attack here. So there's always that kind of guilty feeling. You don't want to use that on the goblins.
Well, and I think it's one of the things with any clan, you're figuring out each other's rhythm, and there's there's places for everybody, and it's like, we're trying to get the matchups right and the participation, and, it's only fair to the other people who are there and participating, that everybody's participating, or if you're getting war stuff, you need to at least use your attacks, and, it sucks being a leader in some ways. I don't want to be an asshole, but sometimes I guess you have to be. So.
Well, that's why it's nice that you have a good cop, bad cop situation with the Phantom Warlord, because he's very good at being a bad cop. And so, he can kind of keep track of people that, and then you also have the veto power. Like if he's like, this person is not, such and such, you're like, well,
and
give him another chance or whatever. And
there's been some people that, and Matt's really awesome at looking at the whole and building the army. Mm-hmm. And, he, right at the beginning, he was there in the first days and really contributing, a lot of different ways. And so, a lot
of spying, a lot of giving of pictures of enemy camps and clan castles, at least for Zod. I know that a line chat for Zod, so he'll put the pictures of enemy camps and stuff.
And he's looking at the real specific things. And there's been things that he said that I've said, no, let's give it time. And things what he said that I've said, no, let's give it time, and he's been right. Mm-hmm. And he's just, I gave him co-leader power, and that's because he has co-leader power, mm-hmm. So that's awesome. Like he's in there, and I trust him to make decisions. So yeah, and he can make, the harder things, but I realize also that I've got to step up and, do those things too.
Yeah. And may remind him that, this is a clan for the fans and stuff. But we do still want it to be fun for everyone in the clan who's trying. So we don't want any dead weight, but we don't want to be too strict. And so you guys can have like a fine, a balance there where you figure out, where to draw the line.
And usually after the wars, he'll send me some recommendations, and I'll, we're usually on the same page, but I think, it's like, it is a fan clan, but it's a fan clan to start, and it'll be a clan that sticks around and builds. It's a team,
I agree.
So I'm not, to me, I think it's awesome if people want to stop by and we started it, fans come in, but, the people that are there and are contributing and are working at it, we're building a team and a clan, and, people are giving advice, and we're really making an investment in a team. And that's what I think is really cool. And I'm really excited about it as we keep going, because,
it's kind of morphing from a fan clan to like a podcast clan. So like the people that got in on the ground floor and participated in everything, they're going to be participating in wars that get talked about in the podcast and, get used as examples and things like that. And so it's not going to, because we have loyal members and stuff, it's not going to be a constant cycle of, hey, I'm a fan coming to say hi. There's not necessarily going to always be room for that, but it will be like, become a pretty serious clan, I would imagine. And then it's like, it's still a fan clan in that they all listen to the podcast, and they all, will, be actually, for one thing, taking advice that you give out on the podcast, which is kind of cool. If someone doesn't see advice that you give out in the chat, you can advise them something here, and they're all going to hear it, which is
and the
cool.
amount of stuff that I'm learning from people in there, and when people are talking with each other, and even seeing low level people attack, and that's great to be able to talk about that, and doing it myself now, and war strategy, and people sharing their replays in the live attacks. I mean, I'm learning an amazing amount as a player.
Oh my God, the live attacks are awesome. What a cool, I guess we've already talked about that a bunch of times, what an amazing addition that is. But big props to Supercell on that, because that is really fun.
I mean,
all talking
incredible.
in chat while you're watching and stuff. Like, oh man, he needs to activate that king's ability. Don't forget to activate it. Or like, oh man, he missed with that lightning spell. The Clan Castle troops moved over there. And yeah, it's always.
So people of L, big shout out. There's tons of shout outs coming, and I've got pictures of screenshots and things like that I want to get. Like I'll take a picture of the chat because somebody will bring up a really good point about, that's where I learned the Clan Castle thing. If you touch the Clan Castle, you see this. So it's awesome, and awesome working together as a team. And I think you're really contributing to the podcast with your stuff. So
yeah, and we did a little piece on Chris and Pringle here, and so like different people, I'm sure during different episodes will get a little more detailed, discussion of them as things come up, as they say something interesting or do something that we're talking about on the podcast or something. So that's kind of a nice thing besides just shouting out their name,
And as we get into there's so many cool things like, and people have listened from the beginning and that are in the clan, and but also the contributions they to the podcast from what you learn, but way to go working together. And I think what I'm really learning about wars through this is that you've got to be talking with the people in your team, and you've got to be building a good team. And that means, keeping an eye on matchups and things like that, and working together, and that participation, because it comes down to, it's a lot of it is psychological warfare. I think, if they see you've got your attacks going, you've got half your attacks, but some of them are in your higher levels, that's going to discourage people. And knowing that, that there's a lot of people left to attack, and people are systematically going.
And if you're looking, like, you might get discouraged if someone jumps out to an early lead on you, and they're, in the lead by 60 stars or something. But if you look at it and they've been getting their stars low down, then they're not going to be, you can kind of tell by how many, attacks their top players have left and how many stars, are left in the top area and everything. You can kind of see what their like ceiling is for the amount of stars they can get. And so definitely, I guess, feel free to get discouraged if they're getting multiple stars on all of your top people early on. Right. And that's never a good sign. But yeah, that's a big thing that I've kind of noticed. It seems like when you jump out to an early lead, a lot of times the other guys get discouraged and kind of are, give up or whatever. And that's,
and we're playing the 24-hour war, so that's what's really good. In last war we had 82 out of 90 attacks used.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one of them, a couple of the people, I'm not sure why they didn't attack. But it didn't, ultimately matter. One guy got booted because he didn't use any, but he was already on probation. He demoted to member. Other guy went super low, below his league, and didn't use the second attack. And then the other guy didn't have an attack to use. So, and one was my nephew, so he is on probation.
He's got a little bit more leeway than most, but
for now, he made it to gold
Josh,
one.
Does Josh listen?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because that's probably not appropriate language. How old is Josh?
He just turned 13, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Josh, earmuffs. If you're listening to this,
gotta pull your weight, buddy, because it's not fair to everybody else, and I can't.
Don't swear.
I can't kick somebody else. But he did go. He did try for a stronger player. So I mean, you got to give it. It's family, but. Well, we're getting a little long on time, so why don't we wrap it up? And
yeah, so I guess I have one announcement to make here. Shout out to Corey, who made me think of this. I have now a Twitter, which is @TrueSonBoaz. I also made TrueSonBoaz at gmail.com if people don't have Twitter. And I guess my thinking here is some of the best feedback or the best interaction I've had from the fans in the stands, in the clans, and other people is when they have pointed out that I'm wrong about something or they've disagreed with something that I've said. So like, feel free to have a friendly hello, but definitely if you like take issue with something I say, you have a contrary opinion or you want to build on it.
You
like
just open the gates.
I would like to have that kind of discussion, another side, when I'm saying everyone should do this.
If you disagree with Boaz, please.
If you disagree,
find him on Twitter.
Please write him an angry tweet.
Is it at True Sons Boaz?
True Son Boaz.
True Son Boaz.
At True Son Boaz or truesonboaz@gmail.com. And if you have something that is, because I think it's nice if they're, it'll kind of spark a debate and give me, content for the show. And so you'll definitely get your, Twitter handle or, your name or whatever shouted out, if you have something that that causes us to, to talk about it on the show or whatever. So,
yeah.
I just thought that would be a cool, they can reach me directly if they,
that's awesome.
Something particular that I say that they, don't like or whatever, in addition at WBSMT radio, which I follow. I think that's the only thing I follow so far.
I'll have to go in and follow at True Son Boaz.
At True Son Boaz. Yeah. The True Sons is the clan.
We just had our Twitterversary. Our first Twitterversary.
Really?
Yeah.
A year?
Yep.
Wow. Cool.
Let's see here. I'm going to add you as we speak, oh wow. Okay. There's a couple pictures I've just seen in here.
So the other thing is to let everybody know, I guess I'm not sure if this is going to get posted before the other one that we did where we mentioned this, but take the survey on clashofclanspodcast.com. There's a survey on there. I think Scotty's going to put a link to it, but right now you can just find it by scrolling down on the front page. It's between a couple of the podcasts, I think.
I put it in the top menu.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. Sweet.
So
now it's on the top menu. So yeah, go in there, fill out the survey.
It's basically to help us with
10 seconds
with advertising for the podcast. It just asks for your email, what your age is, and we need at least
like 200 demographics.
Yeah, we need at least 250 before we can do any of that. So help support the podcast by taking the survey. It only takes, seriously, 5 seconds. You can click on it right on the link. So
shortest survey ever.
Yeah, and I am also a follower of True Son Boaz.
Oh, sweet. Oh, my God. I'm blowing up.
Yeah.
I think I have 3. Shout out to Corey and Coop. They're my first 2 followers because I only introduced it so far in the L clan chat a while ago. So I think the only people that heard it. So and now Scotty and Boneyard, my 3rd follower. So
awesome.
Yeah. So bear with me. I don't really know much about Twitter, but I think I kind of have an idea.
Yeah, so. It's it's kind of a fun little thing. And I'm just tweeting one out right now about you.
But yeah, the usual clashofclanspodcast.com.
Yeah,
424-27-CLASH.
Yep, and the voicemail episode will be up.
Sweet.
So finally going to get to all those voicemails that have come in the next episode with Boneyard, I believe. And so, yeah, you can email us, clashclanspodcast@gmail.com, at WBSM2 Radio on Twitter, and 424-27-CLASH.
What was that?
424-27-CLASH.
I couldn't quite make that out.
424-27-CLASH.
Oh, okay.
And you can always text that number or text clashclanspodcast@gmail.com and we get the texts. And that's where, a lot of the shout outs, it's easy to do it that way because then they come in, can see them and read them and send them back. So keep it clashy, everybody. Thanks for being here, Boaz.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody keep it clashy.
All right.
Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.